So while you meditate on that, let's continue. Hi, welcome back. I know you're anticipating finishing the book, but before we do that, speaking of the author, I wanted to share something with you. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen me post what's so significant about this particular piece. The lapidary calls it an obelisk. Now, the thing that's so wonderful, or that I find awe-inspiring, is the fact that you can see color at the end of this stone, depending on how the light touches it. However, the color is not at the end of the stone. This entire thing is clear, but it's the way the light hits the stone is where and when you actually see this color. And I don't have my glasses, but it says here that this is number 6 of 30. So out of the millions of people that's on this planet, only 30 are custodians of something like this. And I think that is amazing. And I'm one of them. Oh my goodness, so excited. I'm going to try to get more pieces as time goes on, but as you know, this being one of 30, it is not an easy task, but I'm going to definitely try it. And this is just the one of many pieces that he's done that is just amazing, how he can cut the stone to get light to shine in particular areas of the stone. I mean, this man is a genius. So while you meditate on that, let's continue. Growing up in LA, a short history, I promise. I feel compelled to share this part of my life because I believe that so much of one's experience, detours on the path, and outrageous adventures one is willing to explore have a way of giving a greater depth to the overall potential in one's life around succeeding and achieving moments of excellence. I was born and raised in LA, City of Angels, during the 50s and 60s. It is the land of sun, surf, ocean, deserts, mountains, giant redwoods, Hollywood, movie stars, earthquakes, and the birth of Disneyland. It is a land with majestic coastlines and ocean, grand mountains, one of the lowest deserts on the planet, and rolling oak meadows and pastures. It holds almost every different environmental, natural land formation found on Earth, all in one state in America. As natural beauty goes, there are few places on this planet that rival it. To have everything within a half-day's drive from home is a real privilege. It is often said that ideas or new cultural trends have started in California and have flowed as change all over the United States and eventually around the planet. So much of what has emerged from lives in California, such as movies and computers, have influenced cultures near and afar. This is what I grew up in, the middle of a very creatively inspired cauldron of culture. My family lived less than 4 miles from the Pacific Ocean, perched on a hill with a view of areas called Beverly Hills, Century City, Westwood, and Santa Monica Mountains, and ocean. At the time, California had just around 15 million in population, less than half of what it is now. There was still lots of open space, many orange groves, and empty beaches. Many would consider this one of the ideal places to grow up in, and in many ways that is true. You could say we were middle class with many of the perks. My father owned a deep sea cabin cruiser boat. decked out with all of the fishing gear to catch enough fish to supply dinners during the week at home. The ocean and the Sierra Nevada mountain range of California was my oyster from the age of 12. I loved to surf, backpack, camp, and enjoy open beach fires with friends along the sheer solitude of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where I would do solo vision quests into the outback for inner reflection and physical challenge. In other ways, by my mid-teens, I felt that so much of Los Angeles was the land of just image without substance at the time. Looking back, it seems profound for a kid of 16 to be contemplating this. But it was what drove me to flee Los Angeles at 18 years of age, to seek something outside my own myopic world and the collective consciousness I was raised within. Our family never took vacations together outside of the state of California, so I was so motivated to see the rest of the world beyond LA once I graduated from high school. Growing up, I was just a very average student in mathematics, science, and basic scholarship studies in high school. As a matter of fact, I struggled to pass algebra and higher math. I avoided science of any type because I believed it was beyond my comprehension. I took the belief that I was just not that smart when it came to academics. I believed at the time I was just average. My grade point average of 2.0 was a classic average C student in school. I constantly struggled to understand the meaning of math and science. I worked so hard just to get a passing grade in these areas all the way through high school. Never in my life at this time did I realize or think I had an aptitude for natural science and math at this time in my life. Later in my 20s, when I found my calling in gemstones, I realized it was the way it was taught back then. Clearly, my mind was there for the knowledge. It was just not taught in a way I could comprehend or find interesting in any way at the time. The science aspect of my profession would come later to me in life. Where I found my passion and excelled in my early childhood and teenage years was art, sports, and theater. I demonstrated at an early age the ability to be artistic in several mediums and be above average in most sports I participated in. I was a gymnast from the age of 7 and good enough to compete statewide in competition. I would spend hours every day on the trampoline, flipping and turning in the air. I learned about balance and motion and the elegance and beauty of the physical form. A quality I can see now in the many creations of my carvings and sculptures I have done over the years. At the age of 12, I entered the theater as a child actor in a small playhouse across the street from 20th Century Fox Studios. It was a theater in Hollywood where actors would perform to be recognized and discovered. Being a childhood actor, I learned to stand up in front of audiences and project my voice and speak and feel natural in front of crowds. I also learned how to take on character roles in a story and live as though I was that person. Reflecting now, I can see how this skill has come to serve me in my life. I lecture, teach, and appear on television and in documentaries with a sense of relaxed ease. Getting up in front of a live audience or in front of a television camera feels totally natural, and I never seem to feel nervous or anxious doing it. Having this ability has made such a huge difference in my ability to communicate my art and the science behind it. It was one of those skills that became part of a larger whole in my life that has given greater dimension to everything I do. Over the course of my life, I have seen skills that I developed earlier in my life feed into a purpose later in my life. I've come to understand the synergy of every event or exploration has fed into a greater whole in becoming a gem artist. The synergy of this accomplishment and achievement has augmented the greater purpose of what I do in my life now, even though at the time you can't understand why. It's like pieces of a puzzle forming a greater whole and richer picture of what has become the main purpose and destiny in my life.